You should be warned, the upcoming episode will be full of unfiltered, off-the-cuff discussion. As such, you should consider this your spoiler warning.
Hello, my name is Kyle.
And I'm Ryan.
And when our powers combine, we form Experience Grind Podcast. The podcast where, for better or worse, for good or bad, we grind out every experience presented to us and give you our honest opinions on those experiences. Your wife now thinks we are the biggest fucking dorks in the world.
There's no way she can think that now after everything she's already seen.
She's lived with you for so long. So our guest is your lovely, not so lovely wife, Laura. Now, I got some animosity towards you, girl. Yeah. No, I don't. We're joined by her because. Spoiler alert, if you don't know this, we're going to be talking about a Kung Fu movie today. Yeah. And you have established earlier along, I established it, that you are a permanent guest for any Kung Fu movie. And we will be discussing Kung Fu Hustle. Yes. The last one we talked about was The Raid 2, which was actually your recommendation. Yeah. And you started this whole thing, so the only reason you're on here making fun of my intro is your own goddamn doing. So, thanks to that. No, Laura, I love you. Thank you.
It's okay.
You poke the diva, you get the horns.
Yeah.
So careful.
Yeah, this is my show, girl.
So one of our first orders of business in the new house was to seal up as many cracks as we could and weatherproof it. But I mowed today, and so I had to go around the house with a broom and find spiders, and they're little egg sacs, and crush them. And we got some monsters. There was actually one. I was telling him it was hiding under the leaf of my plant. It looked like a little hamburger. It was real fat and round and brown.
Weird.
And it was all and it was the size of a giant Advil. It was really big though. It was this big. So I had to give him a little
So you licked him?
Well, I didn't want to squish him because it would have been
it would have
really
popped
gross.
like a pimple, right?
So I just gave him a little journey.
Maybe
through the air.
I love a lot of violent things, but I'm generally very much a pacifist.
I know. I don't really. If it weren't for him, I would probably just let them.
That's what I save them all. Mandy will scream. Mandy's my Ryan.
Yeah.
She will scream, and I know that there's a bug in the house.
I did save one. There's a really cool garden spider on the porch that does the zigzag in its web. Okay. So I told him that one's got to stay because I like that one, but all the others.
I usually capture them in cups and throw them outside. Although now. Any other insect that gets in the house, unfortunately, is I just recently got a Venus flytrap.
Oh, cool!
And
they don't really catch that many bugs, though.
No, that's I got to feed them. I feel like a vengeful god. I guess I feel bad because I'm totally feeding them to this fucking sarlacc.
If you want a better pet, you need to get a praying mantis.
Well, but
they're awesome.
The praying mantis you got to keep in the cage. The flytrap.
You just get one of those little things, and you just mist it with water, and then you catch a bug. When we used to work in Korea. The kids would bring the mantis its daily offering, and it would
awesome.
Eat the head off this cricket, and all the kids were like, "Whoa!" And so that was kind of I knew Ryan, we would be good together because despite his hatred for bugs, he let me keep this thing as a pet, and then we had rhinoceros beetles.
Oh, those are badass,
and they're cool. And so they were so boring. They would just burrow in their little sawdust. And I said, these are boring. He's like, oh my god, they were flying around making all kinds of noise and having sex and all this stuff. So every time I'd leave, they'd fly and hit the cage and do all this stuff. And then they were singing. And then when I was there, they were never there. So they'd always harass Ryan and the mantis too. What did you name her?
Beatrice.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Beatrice Kiddo. I get that reference, bro.
So she was cool, and they all die in the fall. So we got to raise her up real big, and then watch her kind of.
Oh, she would still die even if she was inside.
They maybe last 2 years, but yeah, usually they grow. We had a bunch of the little ones on our. I mean, they start out this big, and then they grow to full size and lay their eggs, and they pop out. But
so drinking at the 7-Eleven in Korea, that was the first time you guys met.
We worked at the same school, but that was probably one of the first times we had gone out after drinking. Class. Yeah.
It was the pool party. Was the first time. Yeah. I had a date with Oak that night and was hammered by, 11 a.m.
Is this Professor Oak from Pokemon? You had a date with him?
Yeah.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
I think
so people know Professor Oak is Korean and real.
And gay.
Yes.
He's bisexual.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Well, he's open.
Yeah.
He's pretty cool. He flows both ways. I don't know where I'm going with this.
I don't either. Yeah.
I was trying to get a Pokemon pun.
I've been trying to think of one that's not Pikachu, and I can't, so I'm just not gonna do it.
I played with his Jigglypuff.
There you go. I like that. I like that. It was better than a fucking. Did you look at his Pikachu? Yeah, that's what I was going with, and I was like, no, that's terrible. Don't say it. And I said it, and it was still bad, and I knew I shouldn't have said it. So that's a lesson in comedy writing, kids.
Yeah.
Don't do it because you're probably not funny.
Ditto from me.
Yeah, like
Ditto.
like both of us.
Ditto.
Ditto's
a Pokemon.
Laura, we're gonna talk about Kung Fu Hustle. Have you ever seen this movie before?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people have. It's a pretty popular one.
At the time, though, when it came out, I don't remember it being very popular. I think it gained some...
It's got a bit of a cult.
Yeah, because I remember telling people about this movie, and they were like, what are you talking about?
I amazingly saw this movie in theaters for the 2 weeks
cool.
it was playing in America.
I didn't get to.
Yeah, it was cool. I liked it. I've always liked this movie.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah.
I hadn't seen it for a long time. Watching it now...
We rewatched it, too, yeah.
We got music.
Huh?
We got music bumper.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I totally forgot this segue because we haven't had one for a bit. Ryan has a musical bumper. I hope it's the song that I want it to be.
Which is it the Axe Gang's music?
No, it's actually the song played at the end.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a really cool mashup of like Western and Chinese. Like when I say Western, I mean like Western movie, like the old Wild West with a Chinese flair. It's a really cool song.
It can be.
Yeah. If it is cool. The Axe Gang song is also tight, and as well as the Dangerous Musicians song. There's a lot of good music in this movie, so whatever you pick.
So there will be...
Here it is. That was that song. I'm sorry, I totally cut you off before we started. I don't know what you're going to say. And then your wife complained about the stuff in your teeth. I'm pulling this all out.
Easy.
Did you get it?
I got it.
Let's both see.
It's fine.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
So gorgeous.
What? All right. So if this is gonna be in the fucking podcast,
yeah, it is now, buddy.
Podcast. It was a piece of fucking red flake on my gum that you couldn't even see anyway, so there was no need for it to come out.
In your defense, I couldn't see.
No, nobody can see.
But I'm not your wife.
They wouldn't be able to see.
I'm not your wife. But yeah.
I'm just helping you out.
You're not.
So you two right now are reminding me of the main couple in this movie. The landlord and her husband.
Oh, okay.
Paris and Helena Troy.
Who's very... Yeah. Oh, you remember their names. Yeah. The husband is Paris, and the wife is Helen of Troy. I like that you don't find out till later that they are also Kung Fu masters. So we're going to totally just get into spoiler territory at this point. If you haven't listened to Laura's lovely spoiler intro at the beginning... Holy shit, surprise, there's spoilers here.
Yes.
Spoilers.
So, I forget what the fuck I was going to say, though, before...
You're talking about Paris, the lady,
yeah, but before...
how they were Kung Fu masters.
I was getting to some point...
Oh, the bickering.
No, it was before we did the bump, and then I totally forgot about our bump. So...
You were talking about the first time you saw it in the movie theater.
I remember now. So, one of my notes for this movie, that there's a sincere love of Looney Tunes.
Oh, yeah.
In this. very obvious that I didn't really pick up on until I was watching it for this episode. I was like, holy shit.
There's more, because there's also the prison break scene and things like that. I also saw not just that, but like classic Hollywood love too.
A lot of
there's
it, yeah.
like there's kind of, they frame that opening scene like the lady in the red dress kind of business, and then there's like Fred Astaire posters and a lot of like Three Stooges, Chaplin kind of comedy gags.
There's a lot of slapstick.
Physical comedy, but old school. Like,
I put the
comedy.
connection to it last night. Pigsty Alley and that whole set.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty much like Rear Window. It's the same kind of apartment complex that Jimmy Stewart
but
had.
Instead,
where it's
there's
like a lot of the one takes
people swatting
going.
flies and a guy with his pants down taking a shit and just like weird stuff happening.
Okay, so
but
you
it is
that too,
it is like
like,
Rear
holy
Window
shit,
stuff.
That is totally a guy just taking a shit in this, and it's just a pan.
Yeah,
And
but
like,
it was.
I think it's the same guy who has his butt out in every shot.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's that guy.
But there's some really competent camera work in some pieces and things like that too. So I remember when I first saw this, I didn't know what to think. And there were things that I loved so much. And then some of the goofy stuff, I was just like, what is happening? But I also kind of appreciated its zaniness because it was really nothing I had ever seen before and didn't expect. And I'm not sure the CG holds up as well 12 years later, but what does hold up is the really well choreographed like fight scenes and things. So
I would agree with you there.
And I worried going into this because I thought there's a lot of CG, but really there wasn't as much as I thought there would be. There is still a lot of really solid like fight choreography and fun stuff in there too. So I was relieved to see that maybe.
I think it looks dated, the CG.
Yes,
speaking to
it
that,
does.
but because the movie's so kind of cartoony and
It
over
works.
the top. Yeah, it doesn't bug me. It's
It
like
never pulls you
it's
out.
Like, it's a lot like Kung Fury that we
Yes.
talked about, where
Yes.
it's so over the top. Like, yeah, you put that in a different movie, it's not going to be believable. But in the framework of that universe, it's okay.
There's
like,
a lot of Looney Tunes, and it's almost like Roger Rabbit or something. But even like the flower pot falling on the husband's head.
That's one
and,
when
like,
he gets
the
bit by the
running.
cobras on the lips, and he's got the big lips.
Yeah.
The way they
the
run,
Wile E. Coyote running or Roadrunner
how they
running.
rev up and
Yeah.
then take. Yeah, there's so much.
She
Looney
hits
Tunes.
like the billboard and stuff. Yeah, for sure.
The air when she's like getting ready to yell the landlady and how her whole body goes into like you can see the air passing like cartoonishly through her, or even like the her husband, like, and how he kind of like floats around.
He becomes rubbery.
Yeah.
What speaking of, I think one of my favorite scenes, if not my favorite, is the first time that we see the landlady do the lion's roar, and when she does that big suck up, you see the cigarette. Oh man, that's such a cool looking shot.
Yeah.
because you know, like, oh, this is gonna be something crazy huge.
Yeah.
and then it is. It is so fucking nice. It's very well done.
Yeah. And some of the CG's not, some of it, with that kind of touch or something, some of that, it's, that's, it holds up fine. They use it, it's weird, and I'm thinking they use it sparingly and then heavily in some cases.
Yeah.
But in some of their fight scenes, it's very, 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 very little touches of CG, very subtle touches, or it's a lot of wire work too.
A lot of wire work.
Yeah.
Which I was like, well, that's cool. And so we tried to think about it as a reference, like, when did The Matrix come out? Like, that was like the high water mark for like
Wire work. Yep.
good special effects and CG at the time. And
It's
I mean,
99.
yeah, so.
And this was what year?
This is 2004. Yeah, and for reference, Kill Bill just came out in 2003. At least Volume 1 did. So we already had like that whole House of Blue Leaf scenes and like the wire work there from Yuen Won-ping. So I think Kung Fu Hustle kind of definitely has some influence from that because the Crazy 88s are very similar to the Axe Gang.
But wasn't Tarantino influenced by older movies of similar
just
nature?
like they were, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily a borrow from Tarantino. It's a borrow from
The older films.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely, again, I said this a lot in Kung Fury, but this movie is definitely a love letter to older Kung Fu movies. And honestly, this movie is a giant love letter, I feel, to Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see a lot of Jackie Chan, like, just in the comedy, like, the comedy Kung Fu aspects. Like, they're using things... People are getting hit, but it's funny in a way. So
Yeah.
that's
Well, and the thing is, too, like, I remember in Korea, we'd always like this, and we had talked to one of our Korean friends, and he's like, well, you need to watch his other movies. And I was like, whoa, he's got more, and a lot of them have never been brought over to English.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So, like, they're, like, on YouTube, and they're terrible quality, but, and they're,
they're good enough. They're fine.
They're fine.
Okay quality. Please watch them.
Yes,
they're great.
yes, watch them, but it's interesting because, I mean, there's, like, no budget. A lot of them are, like, they basically be, like, a soap opera or something as far as, effects compared to this, but his comedic timing is just so great, and it's like, we're watching it in their language with the English subtitles, but it's just, and I'm wondering how much
Chinese, in case we didn't point that out. This is a Chinese film with subtitles, which I don't think we mentioned.
Yeah.
And if you've not seen it, you should know that going
you can
into
get it dubbed, of course, but like,
don't do that.
Yeah, but it's just like the timing is just, it's just hilarious to me. Like the jokes are really funny, and just a lot of his other movies, they have that. So he's brought that into this movie where he's got more budget to do effects and things. And there's just like just nice little touches of foreshadowing. Like we were watching that as you come into the Pigsty Alley, and you see the tailor, and you see, and they're working with their
and they show the rings.
Their weapon and the things that are going to come in later. It's just real brief, and it's just very competent in a movie that when you first watch it, you're like, this is crazy. Like, what is this guy doing? But the more you think about it, it's like, well, there's really competent, direction here. There's a lot of really deliberate things. It's pretty cool. So
I do like how all the kung fu masters living in obscurity still have all of their weapons around them.
Yeah.
Like the guy who makes the donuts is using all of his. He's a
Whose
staff
name
warrior.
is Donut.
That's what they call him. But yeah, he uses his staffs to roll the dough, and the guy who's just very strong, you see him lifting a lot of flour. I like that shot where he like kicks the last one up.
Yeah,
that's a really nice touch.
Well, there are so many good touches, and the film is very smart. The first big Steven Chow movie that came to America was Shaolin Soccer, and I thought it was good at the time. I didn't love it like I fell in love with Kung Fu Hustle, but the first time Steven Chow's character enters, he's one of the gang members he's pretending to be part of the Axe gang. And so he's playing the bad boy, and he meets this group of kids with a soccer ball. And he starts playing with it, and you see really good soccer skill, calling reference to his previous part in Shaolin Soccer before destroying it and making the kids cry and trying to extort money. But like, I just love everything his character does. And if you watch a bunch of these Steven Chow movies like I have, like he plays the same character each time, which is like,
the lovable loser.
The lovable loser.
This time he gets to
he's
be
almost
the
like
hero.
too dumb for his own good con man. Like he's always trying to act like he's smarter than everybody in the movie, but everybody in the movie knows he isn't.
Yeah.
And that's never not funny. And I've seen that now like 10, 12 times in his movies, and I still laugh, and I still think it's hilarious.
Well, it's like even the costume details too, because when you meet the Beast, and he's got these like ridiculous like flip flops, and I don't know if
jelly flip flops,
and I don't know if it's funnier to me because we've lived in Korea, and it is really how people just walk around like And my dad, his first time going to Korea, he was like, why are these guys wearing like pink sandals? Like, it's just, they don't give a shit.
No,
it's really just a great visual gag.
But it is, and there's a lot of those visual gags. Just like, I mean, there's a lot of really small things that are part of the costume, and even like what were you talking about? And I don't know, it made me laugh out loud. But after you have the musicians come in, and the landlady like lion roars, and then they sit in the back, and she's like, get out of town. And so you have the boss and his hand shaking, and his little, his helpers, his hand shaking. And then they like light his fucking hair on fire. And it just made me laugh because it's such an inappropriate thing to happen during a serious moment. Yeah. It's just stupid, but it's funny. It is slapstick, and it's just really like well timed, and it's just silly. It's a good time to watch this movie, because if you've not seen it, if you like these kind of good, I mean, there's competent fight scenes and things, but there's a lot of other stuff that's just really surprising and fun.
One of the big surprises, I like how at the beginning, and even still rewatching it this time, I found myself doing this. You don't like the landlady and her husband at the beginning, but by the end, they're the fucking best characters. They're so awesome. I love when they're at the casino and they're just there undercover, and everybody else runs away, and you see like the shot from the back of everybody running away, and you just see these two people sitting, and it's a really far wide shot, and you're like, I bet that's them. And then it fucking is them, and you're like,
Well,
yeah, because they don't
and-
care.
In Hawaiian tourist t-shirts.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, but what's cool about that too is having the bees sit across from him, and it has that element of those old, like Rated did this too, where it's like, I don't hate you. I'm just like, I'm honored to fight you.
Yeah, I just
and
want a challenge.
Yeah, and it is like those old kind of
It's
like
like the story
older
of One
movies.
Punch Man too. Like
Yeah.
he's just searching for somebody who can equal him. He's so easily decimated every challenge he's ever been.
So that's a neat
Yeah.
touch. That it's not like I'm bad guy, you good guy, we fight now. Like,
It's about honor.
yeah, it was neat. So
I like that. I like his big dumb friend.
Yes. I don't know his name, but yeah.
I don't either. I think
think
still
he-
another one of my favorite parts
Bone. His name is Bone.
is where they go back to Pigsty Alley and they're trying to throw the knives at the landlady.
yeah.
And
Who
Steven
threw a
Chow
handle
yeah,
at me?
just gets stabbed like 3 different times. That part is so good, and it's
I
so
love the knife scene.
Lazy.
Yeah,
part.
I do
Who's
too.
throwing
So good.
handles?
it's so slapsticky and but it's like it's a physical comedy, but in a way that I've not seen before. Where like and things just keep getting worse and worse. It's like in Ace Ventura when Nature Calls when he gets stabbed with the 2 spears.
Yeah.
Like it's so much better than that
God.
scene in Ace Ventura.
That's a pretty good scene.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it is good, but like the way it plays out in this one, it's so much better because you can tell that it's hurting him, and he's just getting more annoyed as each one gets. And then I don't know when Bone goes to throw the last one, and he just reaches around and stabs him, and then like Laura, he throws the handle instead of the knife.
And then the landlady gets hit with the handle and just goes, "Who's throwing handles?"
It's all so well done.
It is.
I will go back real quick because I do take offense. You said you do not like the landlord and the landlady at the beginning.
No,
And I do.
Well, but
I
they're not like
love them.
They're not like good characters.
Yeah,
they're
Okay,
terrible
so she's
people.
kind of a terrible person, but he's just like a lovable scoundrel. And I told Laura, we were watching this movie last night again for the podcast, and it's been 7, 8 years since I
been
saw
about
it last
that long
time.
since I've seen it,
It's
too,
been
yeah.
a while. So like, what they call Rabbit Tooth Jane comes in, and then like that landlord makes her kiss him. And like all this stuff starts happening, and I'm like, Laura, it's like I'm going back to like a high school reunion. These are like my weird friends, and I love and miss them. Like I love him, that landlord in the beginning, and like that whole flower pot gag is in the beginning. And, like,
Yeah, and
I
when
have
the
no issue
fight
with him.
starts, and then he looks over at that one guy with his butt out, and then he just puts all the dirt back on around
over
his head.
yeah.
He wakes up in the middle of the fight and then keeps playing dead.
Well, and I
just-
like that it's
just
playing up to them
amusing.
trying to hide in plain sight. Like,
Yes, yeah.
They know that if they let it be known that people are going to be drawn to that just to challenge them, and they
Yeah.
at the end they do care about the people and they want them to just live their
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe part of it's lost in translation too, because the landlady is constantly harping everybody about owing her rent, but she never does anything about it.
No, she
No,
just
it's just
yells
like an
about it a
empty
lot.
threat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, again, maybe a bit's lost
Yeah.
in translation there, where like she really is just hiding it in the heart of gold, and So I get what you're saying, but I think at the beginning you're not supposed to really like them.
No,
and
no.
then that's what makes their turn towards the end even so much better. So
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think you hit on something when you're talking about like keeping their secrets, because it's something I noticed last night that I'd never noticed before. Is every fight is resolved by a secret person coming up with power. Like there is not a fight in this movie where somebody doesn't come in at the last minute and it's like, oh wait, they have power. Oh, okay, and then the tide turns. That's every single fight does that. From the opening with the Axe Gang, you see these gangsters like fighting the policemen. And then, oh, wait, these gangsters are scared of the Axe guys who show up and they have the power. And then, the Taylor, the donut guy, they show up. Oh, they have power. And then the next one, they get beat. But, oh, wait, the landlord and the landlady have power. Oh, and then they get beat. But, oh, wait, Steven Chow now has power. Like, that is...
I like how they
It's
explain
weird how they
him.
do that.
His power got awakened because the beast beat him so badly he opened up
He
his
realigned
chi
his
channels.
chi, yeah.
It's so great.
All right, so I know what your favorite scene in the movie is. I want to talk about favorite scenes.
Which one's mine?
I think
Okay,
that's the
go
one
ahead.
that I forgot about that you're like, how could you forget that? I think that might be it. But my favorite scene is when the Beast comes and he fights Steven Chow's character and just beats him into the ground after he like tries to hit him in the head with like the baseball bat, and it shatters and he just gets his head pounded into the ground. And then Steven Chow reaches over and grabs like
There's a
a
little
piece of the
stick.
tree and just goes like, doink.
Doink. Yeah. That is, yeah.
It's such and like
so
it's a thing where
defiant.
it's like, it is, but it's like in a moment that's very serious. This guy's getting devastated, but like it's the little joke. Like Steven Chow cannot go for 5 minutes without like getting some kind of joke in there, some kind of visual gag, and that's maybe like the hardest I laughed last night.
Excellent. Okay.
Which one do you think's my favorite?
Eagle step boost.
That's
That is
not a
awesome.
scene.
That is an awesome part.
Like so hilarious.
Yeah.
I was like, he was like, I forgot that.
That part is pretty great too.
He's like
So-
been punched into the air, and he's like just flying towards space, and then he kind of starts to slow down, and there's like this eagle flying by, and he just steps on it, and it goes, "Caw!"
and he jumps a little higher.
It's so funny.
That
It's
scene is pretty great
stupid.
too.
No, I think for me, like when I knew I was really gonna like this movie when I first saw it was when the two like musician assassins come in, and I loved watching it this time around because that music paired with that fighting, paired with that creative, surreal kind of weapon was just really neat. And I see, yeah, you've got it. But the way they introduce those
Gucci.
guys, because you know that they're gonna come in and do some shit, you know, but like you don't know what they do, and you see that strong guy walking, and the things are just getting sliced off in the air around him, and then you see this cat jump off the building,
Oh, and get cut
and
in half.
it's Shadow, you
The
know.
silhouette gets cut.
And it's just a really neat way to introduce a bad guy and a weapon. And
I like the way that they sit on nothing.
Yes,
That's a
yeah.
really
Yeah.
cool thing.
Yeah.
there's a lot of neat little touches with that, but it was just really.
And I like the way that they do fight with the music, and they're really
But
throwing out like
it's
apparitions
this
of
beautiful,
swords. Yeah.
you know, music too, and it's just really neat. And I just thought it was just a well put together scene. It's really cool, and if it's your first time seeing it, it's a lot of surprises.
Yeah, it's really great.
neat.
That's the one that I think stands out generally. That's the one most people remember is that fight scene.
It's so
Because it's so
good.
cool and so unique. Like you've not seen something like that before.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think all the fight scenes have something that's unique. Like
Fair, yeah.
the frog style reveal at
really
the end.
cool.
It's like, where else are you going to see
Or
anything
even
like that?
during
something I
that fight,
noticed-
the foot stomping, and
Yeah.
he's like,
Yeah.
"What kind of move is that?" Like, it's just ridiculous.
Something I noticed about Toadstyle before that I had not noticed before watching this, but when he goes to rescue the beast, there's toads all
Yeah.
along that hallway, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
Of
That's
course
the
he
first time
does
I noticed was
Toadstyle.
last night, too.
Yeah, I was like,
It's like
"Oh,
more
Yeah.
foreshadowing.
of course, that's what's going on here."
Yeah.
What was your favorite part? Or one of your favorite parts?
Easily my favorite part of this entire movie is the first time that we meet Steven Chow and Bone, where Bone passes out in the barber's chair. So Steven Chow is challenging everybody to the fight. And so the first guy he picks is a guy he thinks is short, and he's like, "Come on, short stack, you
Oh,
fight
yeah.
me." And then that guy stands up, and he's a huge, tall giant. He's like, "No, not you. No, I'm sorry, not you." And then he points at some guy and calls him Four Eyes. And that guy comes up, and he's a super buff, ripped dude. And he's like, "No, not you. I meant that kid. You kid, you fight me." And then the kid walks through the crowd, and he's also super buff and ripped and jacked.
It's
and,
like a
Yeah.
Stooges
yeah, it's
scene
just
or
so
something.
much
It's
visual gag
funny.
right there, and it's, I don't know, it's also great. He's trying to pick out the weakest to fight them, and then it just keeps getting worse for him. So
Yeah. That's a good introduction.
Yeah, I guess one of the last things I want to talk about is the love interest in this movie. He and oh my god, it's like such a horrible flashback where he thinks he's like getting the Buddha
Oh, it's
teachings
sad.
and then gets beat up by bullies, and it's hilarious. And then he starts to get peed on. And then
that's the part. I was like, "Holy
then it's
shit,
like-
this kid is getting peed on."
then it's not as funny.
This is going harsh.
yeah, and then it was all to defend a mute girl and like help her keep her lollipop from these bullies, and then he serendipitously meets up with her later on.
Continues to behave badly.
Yeah,
Like
and he's still like a turd, but he
Well, and
gets the lolly. She has the lollipop. She's been saving it for him, and it's literally. I remember it being such a big part of this movie, but it's only
it's
3
very brief and it's
scenes.
very
Yeah.
simple,
So
but it
short.
conveys a lot.
Well, and what I like about it is because he's a dick to her and doesn't recognize her because of what those bullies did to him. And he tells Bone, his big dumb friend, bad guys always win, so I want to be the bad guy. Good guys never get what they need because he tried to be the good guy and got beat up and peed on. So that's going to last with a kid. But again, of course, you know, pure true true hero character turn. He becomes the hero.
Yeah.
Does that
Yeah.
great fucking Buddha
Well,
sky palm.
Oh yeah, that was fun. But I also like at the end because I almost felt like it left you up with maybe a sequel because they show that little booger nose kid and they're like, "Here's this 10-cent manual," and the kid's like, "Nah." And they're like, "What about these other 5?" Yeah.
I think that's a perfect ending, and I also love right before like the reunion
How
and
they
the shot
change the kids.
that camera shot where they go around both of them swirling, and then as they go behind each other's back, it's like the little kid actors of the two.
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
literally
they just sweetly go into the
literally
candy store
kids
he now
going into a
owns.
candy store. Yeah.
And it's just it's simple, it's sweet. If you don't like love stories, it takes up 5 minutes of the movie,
And it works. Yeah.
and it's effective. Yeah, I think it's really well done.
Yeah, I agree.
It's great.
I mean, I love this movie. I would recommend it in 2004 when I saw
Yeah.
it. I recommended it
I
to
think
every
I think
person
too.
I
Like
knew.
I remember, and I was telling him, you know, because you go through that early relationship stage where you're like, well, what kind of movies do you like? You know, and it's like, oh, you like that? Never mind. Like we can't see each other anymore. But we matched up on everything. But it was so funny because you get to this one. I remember
Except for
watching
Medea
it.
movies.
I've not given Medea a chance. We'll have
I'm
to.
with you on
We'll have
that.
to do it. Well, I don't know about it. Like
No.
So.
Not many people would agree with me.
But so we'll just have to, you'll have to break me in on that. But I remember watching this, and maybe with my brother. My brother's got like a sideways sense of humor too, like me. You know, we both kind of. And I just remember like asking people about it. Nobody had heard about it, or a couple people were like, "That's stupid."
Of course.
And then I was just kind of like, this is one that's been on my like, oh, here's my public favorite movies list, and then here's this other one over here.
Yeah.
Because I was almost not like I was ashamed of it, but it was like nobody heard of it, and it was weird, and it doesn't really fit into a category like real nice and neatly, and I just didn't really know what exactly to make of it, but I knew I really had a lot of fun watching it, and I knew it was one that I did not easily forget ever, you know, because it was just so different. So, you know, it holds up, and now I hear like, and you know, we had shared that, and he was like, "Oh my God, you love Kung Fu Hustle!" Like nobody loves Kung Fu Hustle, you
It's
know.
true. It's
so
very rare that you meet people that have
it was
even
kind of
seen
neat.
it.
Yeah, there's
So-
cult films, and then there's this film, which is forgotten, and even at the time, not a lot of people knew about.
I would also recommend it. It is a little rough around the edges. I do think it has some pacing problems, but I've seen movies with way worse. You
Oh,
can
yeah.
get through them. And it is enjoyable at the end of the day. It's weird that
It's weird.
it's weird in the fact that like you will laugh out loud. I'm pretty sure a couple times. There are some really funny bits
Because it's
So-
like little things that you don't expect to happen.
Yeah.
Just like, you know, these little tiny gags, but they're just so well timed that it's just like, pfft, it's just ridiculous. It's
I,
fun.
in all honesty, would compare it to like an Edgar Wright film, whereas it's a mock-up of a genre, but like so lovingly done
Yep.
with great attention to detail, and like the
And
fights
it's
are
very-
really good,
very
and still hold
kinetic,
up. Like
and
the fights are still
yeah.
engaging even today. So I think it's good for what it is, and it's good as a spoof, and it's good as a kung fu genre film.
Yeah, I would agree. So
I highly recommend
we
it.
have
yeah.
3 recommends, 2 highly, 1. Yeah, you should watch it. I'm not knocking it. I think it's great. It is rough.
No, it's okay.
So, but
It's okay.
I think if you haven't seen it,
I've
you
been
should watch
listening to
it,
some of
so.
your recent podcasts, and I think that you're taking on I think you're turning down your hype. I think you're being more critical lately.
I am a victim of my own hype.
So
That's something
are
I'm
you
trying-
overcorrecting lately? Because some of your things you've been like, meh.
Maybe. I do tend to overhype my. Nathan is my biggest critic on this. He's like, you say everything is the most amazing thing you've ever seen.
That's
I'm like,
that's
I know.
good though, because you have fun.
I do, but it also
I'd like
burns
to be
me.
critical.
It burns me a whole lot because I overhype things and then I experience them. I'm like, well, that was
Like 5 years later,
something.
after the shine's worn off a little.
Even
you're like-
even as soon as it happens, I'm trying to, honestly, the last one that fucking burned me was 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Oh.
You're so wrong about
I
it,
fucking
but that's-
overhyped myself so hard on that.
We have an
one,
episode
and-
on that.
Yeah,
If you
we
haven't
do.
heard it, listen to our 10
We-
Cloverfield
you really
Lane
should.
episode.
And Nathan's on that episode.
He's the nice middleman between us.
Yeah. Not so much in BVS. I'm totally by myself there. But
as you rightfully should
I
be.
should.
Because
I should.
it's garbage.
I'm a
Garbage
Superman
movie for
fanboy.
garbage.
Anyways, so I think we're gonna end here, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Kung Fu movie again. It's a great Kung Fu movie. It's got excellent fight
It
scenes.
is super fun.
Yeah, and it is fun, and you will laugh. I'm not lying if you haven't seen it
It's
yet.
not on Netflix. You'll have to rent it through Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
sadly. But I will say, if you liked Kung Fu Hustle, Journey to the West
I haven't seen that
is
one.
a Steven Chow movie
Mm-hmm.
that came out And it's on Netflix right now.
I like
whole
anything
bunch
Steven
of
Chow.
them.
I'm like
Hustle,
you.
watch that movie.
He's also always pretty consistent.
Yeah,
so.
it's always good.
Here's the
might
big
not make
defining
great
fact.
films. They're fun.
If you like Jackie Chan, I'm pretty sure you'll like Kung Fu Hustle.
Yes,
So
agreed.
there you go.
Yeah.
That's where we'll leave it. So, Laura, thank you as always for sitting in. I know we got a lot more Kung Fu movies we're going to talk about.
I need to watch a lot more.
Yeah, well,
I have
that's
other
what we're gonna do.
interests too.
Okay, well, let me know, girl. You're just our Kung Fu gal.
I
So,
guess I didn't realize that I became
Maybe
that.
we do a
but
Jackie Chan movie proper next time.
Yeah, I would love to do that. I think the best one
It's
is
Shanghai Nights on it. Yep.
Legend of the Drunken
Rush
Master.
Hour.
I was gonna say
3.
Drunken Masters probably.
Russia.
a pretty
Why would
good
you go
one.
with 3? You're just being contentious, I know, but 3 is the worst
What's
one.
the babysitter one he's part of? Accidental Spy. Done.
Yeah. And then there's the one that he did with Jennifer Love Huge Tits, which is The Medallion.
I love Jennifer Love Hugh Tits.
Who
Huge
doesn't?
tits.
She's a terrible
Huge
actress, but man, I'll watch her in anything, by God, I tell you that.
That was Hugh Laurie's nickname in college was Hugh Tits.
Really?
No, I don't know that.
I
Why
don't
would
know.
I know
I've
that?
always called her Jennifer Love Huge Tits. That's Jennifer Love Hewitt, by the way, if anybody...
Did she
Yes.
always have huge tits? I felt like it was just like ever since she came onto the Ghost Whisperer.
No,
No,
she
she's always
didn't.
had,
She
really big
didn't.
tits.
Can't
Big-ass
hardly wait
titties.
though.
I
Yeah.
don't think she did have big tits in Can't Hardly Wait.
Let's watch Can't Hardly Wait, and we'll decide.
I love Can't Hardly Wait.
I liked that's
got
another
Seth
time
Green.
capsule
Yeah,
one.
I
That
love Seth Green in that.
I liked
Seth
it
Green
at
in
the
that
time. I don't know if
And it's got
I.
Jenna Elfman, too.
As
I think-
the angel, Darla.
I think maybe
no,
I-
that's not right. I think
Dharma and
Dharma-
Greg.
Dharma and Greg. Yeah, let's do
Let's
that one,
end
too.
this motherfucker.
All right, we're done. Thank you, Laura,
Thank
as
you.
always.
Thank you guys very
I
much.
love having you on the show.
Aw,
you
thank
are our
you.
second most frequent guest now.
Other than Nathan.
Yeah.
Nathan's moved out of town though. That bitch
You're-
is gone.
Yeah, you're going
so.
to take this title over as most
Nathan
frequent
does.
guest. That bitch
He seems
is
like
gone.
a really nice guy. Poor Nathan.
Eat a dick, Nathan. Go fuck yourself. That's who I'm telling to go fuck himself
Nathan
now.
has the best Facebook.
He
I'll
does
just
have
put
good
it out
ones.
there. I love his Facebook.
We love you, Nathan. You got to come back and visit us and get on the show
Yes.
again. Laura's coming for your title. We love you guys as always. Hit out with us, hit us up. Fresh news as of yesterday, we are now listed on the Google Play Store, as well as iTunes and Stitcher and YouTube. You have no excuse to not listen to this show. I know if you are listening, you already are finding us somehow.
We're even on weird sites like Blueberry.
Yeah, Blueberry. That's
Blueberry? No, there's no E. It's Blueberry.
is it Blueberry? I don't
It's
know.
Blueberry.
Blubbery.
It's Blubbery. Yeah, it's Blubbery.
That actually makes a lot more sense because I've always read it as Blueberry.
It's
but
totally
Blubbery,
Blueberry, but there's-
Blubbery works so much better. But yeah, so find us, you fucking idiots. If you're listening, you've already found us, and I just called you an idiot for no reason.
That sounds about right.
But I do that a lot. But thank you guys so much. We'll talk to you soon. Grind out.
Hi, this is Ryan, and if you liked what you just saw or listened to, please check us out at experiencegrind.com. Find us on facebook.com/experiencegrind, at Twitter over at twitter.com/expgrindpodcast, where Kyle's tweeting out a lot of stuff all the time. And then you can always find us, our podcast, on iTunes, Stitcher, Twitch. We're even on YouTube. Find us, just search Experience Grind Podcast. We don't have a channel yet. Stuff's super easy to find. But please subscribe. We'll get there to you, make it even easier. And as always, if you like what you saw, we cover mini games and episodes every week. There's sure to be something you love. And as always, grind out.